many people see Redfall as a game which is very similar to Left 4 Dead. However, we got a brand new information from the director himself about what this game really is. According to the creative director, Redfall is not a game where you start a mission, kill the undead, and go to the final checkpoint like Left 4 Dead. Instead, it's a big open world game where you have various creepy locations surrounded by vampires, cultists who worship them, and Belleville Security, a shady private military company. Players can either play the main missions or can talk to NPCs in your home base for multiple side missions, or you can also free roam the open world and discover things yourself. You have the freedom to approach these various missions, all these locations, with the same level of curiosity that you had while you played Dishonored or Prey. There are no cars in this game, so you have to explore the open world on foot, which I believe is the best way for an open world game. There are two districts in this world. One is sprawling urban area and the other is a rural area type. There are neighborhoods held hostage by vampires. Liberating these parts of towns will open up a safe house. You can then have NPCs that can provide you side missions with which you can upgrade your gear or level up with. There are nests that emerge in a shared psychic phase should a group of vampires fall into a blood trance. Storms form gradually over time, signaling the arrival of powerful vampire gods called rooks. The Bellwether security squads patrol the island, and the cultists set up roadblocks to bottleneck any who remain committed to the land of living. Then there's also the main story, which follows the fallout of the scientific experiment that went wrong. According to the director, Redfall sometimes feel like what you would get if you blended the arcane creative values with Far Cry 2 or Stalker. And just like every open world game, there is a day-night cycle which has an important emphasis in this game. Vampires spawn in the day, but they are very dormant and they are very active at night. It's very similar to Dying Light. Belleville security may up their patrols before the cultists come out in force to greet the Shadow Walkers. Sometimes you might even find these three factions fighting against each other while you will be just like a casual bystander just looking around and seeing what's happening and maybe get something out of that. When it comes to playing the game can be played solo or co-op. You will select one of 4 characters and once you have selected it, it stays locked for the duration of the game. For co-op, these characters will talk to each other and get to know one another with a dynamic dialogue system. There's also a mechanical system in this game where the longer the heroes play together, they'll get a game mechanic called Trust Buff. Not so sure how that's gonna add to the gameplay, but we will have to see. You can utilize each character's powers, combining them with other characters' power and more. This is something Arkane has done in previous games as well, providing supernatural powers to characters in a world which is, well, very supernatural. They also got help from the creators of Doom, that is ID Software, who assisted them in helping the shooting mechanics of the game. You will have a variety of weapons to use, but there are also special weapons for this world. You can take these vampires down with guns, but in order to completely take them down and kill them, you will have to use a stake, otherwise they will regenerate. I got to know about that stake thing from the originals. That's where I got to know more about the vampire stuff anyway. You will also get flare guns, stake launchers, UV lights, and more. The director also mentioned 2 types of shotguns. One is a double-barrel shotgun that has a greater chance to set hazards on fire, and the other that offers more long-range viability and a percentage chance to fire off a UV flash to petrify vampires with a 10-foot radius. So I assume that we will have different varieties of the same kind of weapons, but maybe you have to find parts around the world. And that's not all, because each hero has 4 skill trees that you need to manage, grouping specific character traits and more general utility options like health recovery or increased storage for ammunition and lockpicks. Redfall actually seems more interesting now that the director have described how the game actually will be. The game is an open world which has multiple activities, has storytelling through environment, different gunplay style, and co-op designs. It's heavily mentioned by the director how this game is nothing like Left 4 Dead and actually is more like Far Cry, but from what he has described, I really believe that this game is more like Dying Light 2 specifically. Now these open world games really need to flesh out in terms of the activities that you can do so that the players can care about it. And the same thing has been happening with this particular game as well, because Starfield brought some major updates that you need to know. Check this video out.